Hello and welcome to Weekly Geek Speak. I'm Andrew.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Steve.
And it appears only one of us is prepared.
I thought of the great open phone the other day and I went, oh great, I've done it, I've sorted it. And then the unreliability of the human mind to recall. This is why we have notes.
Yeah, it is.
We are Weekly Geek Speak. We're a weekly geekly podcast, hitting your ears in your earphones or your stereo, whichever you choose.
I'd love to know. I think I've asked this before, and I'll never know. I'll never know. But I'd love to know from where people listen. Is it predominantly iTunes?
I should think so.
It will be. Yeah.
So we're on iTunes, Spreaker,
Podcast Land,
Stitcher,
YouTube,
and also YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter.
On SoundCloud?
I don't know. We might be. You can follow us on Twitter at Weekly Geek Speak, and we're on Facebook, Weekly Geek Speak. And our website, the hub of this all, is weeklygeekspeak.com. Keep an eye on our YouTube as well, because Scott and Dan are throwing videos at you, gaming videos. Throwing them at you.
Your general direction.
So keep your eyes and subscribe, obviously, to YouTube. But first, we have an open forum where every other week we get together and we talk about something that we wouldn't normally bring up, something different, something maybe not even in our normal remit. And as you guys are struggling, I'll start, and I've got a couple today, so I can fill in for you if you're struggling. But I went to see To Kill a Mockingbird at the theatre, which is a film I really like, a great book, and it actually worked really well on stage. However, the one thing that really struck me from it was, and I've said it before on the podcast, how strong Gregory Peck's performance of Atticus Finch is.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
He is one of the best father figures in cinema. He's such a gracious, wise, great man. And I think that's partly down to the writing, but also a lot to do with Gregory Peck's kind of commanding.
One of the most idealistic characters, isn't he?
But yeah, I wanted to just throw into the table very quickly. Is there a role that you think is so well done, you don't think it can be done as well again by someone else? Not that it shouldn't be done again, but more that somebody's role has the performance has been so strong in that role that it feels wrong for someone else to do it, or someone else just couldn't do as well.
Oh, it's very tough, because you hear stuff, especially like, for instance, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. He's so Tony Stark. He's done it for so many films now. And it just feels almost vaguely like no one else could ever do that. But why can't they? When you stop and detach yourself, there's no reason they can't. Maybe they won't be as good. And he's carved it his own, but you could go in different directions. So I'm very much like an actor can bring their own thing and make it theirs. So I don't think there's anything inherently. But if you just pretty much go through almost every iconic role, you would feel a bit like that. Like, I know De Niro played a young version in the sequel, but Marlon Brando as Don Corleone in The Godfather feels like if they ever try to reboot that, which would be ridiculous, I could not imagine.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's. Do you have any, Steve?
What's like ones they've done already? You've got Spock.
But again,
forgive me,
Zachary Quinto.
When the original, but Zachary Quinto, when they cast him, everybody went, "Oh, okay."
And he did really well.
He did an amazing job.
And I can't think of anyone more iconic and character specific than Spock.
No,
really, if you know what I mean.
When you think Leonard Nimoy, sorry, there,
yeah.
And he's somebody that you think of Spock and him. You never think of anyone else, but he did a great job.
That's why I love that first film, because like Chris Pine made Kirk his own whilst slightly evoking Shatner, and then Carl Urban was like Forrester Kelly, but but his own version, and Spock was Nimoy-ish, but his own. They really did that well. Only Scotty they really messed up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, which was covered. I can't think of anybody else. Who else?
Let us know yours then. If you're listening, throw us a tweet at Weekly Geek Speak or throw it on our Facebook wall. Is there a performance by somebody who you think is so strong that it's untoppable? You know, you cannot toppable. You cannot topple that performance. It is a great, strong, huge performance. Let us know.
In the context of the films they're in, there's a million, but in the context of a character in a revisit of certain things, I don't think there's any. If that makes sense. Like I could say, no one could be a better Heath Ledger's Joker than Heath Ledger's Joker for that film, but I think they can be equally good Jokers in different types of films. Do you know what I mean? Just for an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, because Atticus Finch is a character who is laid out pretty much in the text, you know, that almost feels the definitive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it would be very difficult to do if they did, say, remake it in cinema or do a version of it again in cinema. But then again, lots of people might argue that Rooster in True Grit couldn't be done again, and then Jeff Bridges did a really good job, and I think that telling of the story surpasses the 60s one, 50s, 60s, I can't remember which it is. But yeah, anyway, so that was mine. Please do throw your opinions our way. How are you guys doing?
I've thought of something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go with Scott then.
Okay, so we've had sort of Freddy versus Jason and Alien versus Predator. And we're well aware Batman is fighting Superman. Is there any two people you would like to see a fight film of that's maybe not realistic, but you would be just there if it was announced? Like not an obvious fight film where, like, obviously Civil War's a bit Cap versus Iron Man. That's very realistic. We're getting that
right.
But just two people you'd love to see in a fight in a film, if you were Lord and Master of the Universe.
Can we use characters from any genre?
Anything you want.
Okay.
You could have Kramer versus Kramer.
Ooh.
I know I'm talking about Kramer from Seinfeld.
Let's think. Because it's almost like when they put Freddy into the Mortal Kombat universe.
Yeah.
On the Mortal Kombat download. And that worked. That was fun.
One that's always been percolating in my imagination just because of the video game is RoboCop vs Terminator.
Oh, that would be good.
I've always thought, that's always lived in my mind. I'm half surprised it's never been vaguely rumoured when they were both slightly being untouched.
What have they been? I never really thought of this before, but a Star Trek versus Star Wars, Millennium Falcon versus the Enterprise in
a big, like, Wrath of Khan-esque battle shootout. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Because I'd say that the Enterprise is more technologically advanced, but the Millennium Falcon, it's smaller, it's grittier, it goes through a lot, more manoeuvrable. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be a good battle. It's a battle of ships.
Oh, if we're comparing ships and similar things, like you've got Indiana Jones and Lara Croft from Tomb Raider on a quest. They'd be on a quest, and they both
racing.
Yeah, they're racing towards the quest, and the plot is they have to find this ancient buried thing. See who's the best at deciphering clues and treasures, and
then for no reason, there's aliens.
Yeah,
Shia LaBeouf and Chris Barry from Red Dwarf.
Have you been reading my notes? Damn you!
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, that could happen.
Different slant on it. There were two very different slants on the question.
Yeah, but characters fighting each other. They put, what was the fighting game on the Xbox that they put Yoda and Darth Vader into? Soul Calibur.
All right.
Playing as Yoda in Soul Calibur was brilliant because it was the Yoda from Episode 2. I've only seen the fight scene, so he could properly leap about and he was very nimble. And that was just really good fun. Just seeing him in a beat 'em up. That was ace.
My friend used to have it was a Japanese import. I can't remember what the game's called, but it was a Star Wars fighting game, and it was awesome. And I wish I could remember it for the life of me, but it was so weirdly cool.
Is it an official one then?
Well, he had his PlayStation shipped, like a lot of people did back then, and then he just ordered this game. So it sounded vaguely cool, and it just looked amazing. But I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. But I used to love going around and watching it. You could just be Luke versus Han Solo and just a fight.
Oh, I'm gonna have to find that
Tekken
out.
style. There's so many for this question. I was thinking of Sonic vs Mario in a full CGI, stupid, like over the top battle. Just for us 90s fans.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Turtles versus Power Rangers.
Or just for an epic CGI fest, Superman vs Goku.
Wow.
The internet,
Oh my goodness.
The internet's obsessed with that question. Just have a full blown 90-minute smash fest
Okay.
in a city.
I've yet to see Dragon Ball. It's something that I've seen the movie and...
Oh.
But never... Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God,
I know.
Don't bring that up.
I watched it on a plane. I watched it on a plane and thought, sounds alright, go on.
No.
Even on a plane, I wanted to... I was scrabbling for the exit.
It makes my skin crawl when someone mentions it.
It wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility considering some of the films that were made in Japan, but the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man versus Godzilla.
I'm there.
Yes.
I am there right now.
Yes.
Godzilla versus a ginormous Elmo.
No.
Oh.
My skin's crawling again.
He's going to set him off again.
But Elmo can run really fast, so
No,
he just runs between the buildings. And Godzilla's like, where's he gone? And then he jumps on him and starts scratching
With
his
that
eyes.
I know.
handkerchief parachute that
Yeah.
as in the film.
I know.
Gouchland.
I know my slight creeped out fear of Elmo amuses people, but I feel like I don't get respected for it like other people's fears do. You don't chuck a spider in front of an arachnophobe, do you?
Well, don't worry, I get this because I don't like cows. Okay, and everyone laughs. But you're more likely to be killed by a cow in this country than a spider. Cows trample people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cows, it's fully well known, are the ally of the squid, and when the
They're allied. That pact goes back 100 years.
well, you're laughing.
Yeah.
If you wait.
Not even a manatee, the sea cow. Squids.
The dugong.
You're laughing. Okay, well, before Steve gives us something, I'm just going to throw another thing that I thought of. I was desperately trying to come up with a top 5 myself, and then I was laughing thinking top 5 Twinkies. I could only come to 4. So what I came up with was, in 5 was Die Hard, where he's eating a Twinkie, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's referenced again in Die Hard 2, I think, your Twinkie eating cinema. Obviously Ghostbusters, which started my thought
And
train.
Zombieland, of course.
Zombieland, of course, and actually I was watching Deer Hunter the other day, and when they drive up to the mountain after the wedding to go hunting, one of them unwraps a Twinkie and starts dipping it in mustard and eating it, and the guy's like, What are you, does nobody seeing this? What's going on?
Oh.
But I couldn't find the last one, so I want to just throw it to you guys, or the audience, if we can't come up with anything. Is there another Twinkie scene I've missed?
Is he a Twinkie in Ghostbusters 2? Do they reference it again?
Maybe, but then I put Die Hard and Die Hard 2 if that is mentioned twice.
I don't
have to
think
put
they
them
do.
in. I want another franchise with Twinkies.
Oh God. There will be one.
No, I can't.
I'm thinking vaguely of something like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, when there's so many food jokes and references.
There's got to be one in there
Like
somewhere.
a Twinkie seal in the sequel.
I've not seen the sequel.
Well, the sequel is like all the foods are like becoming like live, sentient.
Oh wow!
and-
So that's
so
like a whole island.
So it's a lot of like dinosaur and animal food puns and
right.
jokes.
Okay.
So surely there was some sort of Twinkie
Yeah.
whale or something. Well, I can't remember.
Tyrannosaurus Twinks.
Yeah, probably. or in Wreck-It Ralph in Sugar Rush Candyland. There's so many candy jokes. There's got to be a Twinkie something there. There's got to be.
I think it goes to the listeners then. Please do throw us any more Twinkies. We've got Die Hard, we've got Ghostbusters, we've got Deer Hunter, we've got Zombieland. We need one more Twinkie to fill that hole. So, we come to you, Steve. Have you come up with anything?
Yeah, mine was along a similar vein to Scott's. So when he said this, I went no, but I'm gonna roll with it. No, it's good. I'm gonna roll with it anyway because I watched a film called Big Ass Spiders.
Big ass spiders.
Yeah,
Is actually called
Big Ass Spiders.
How big were their ass?
big ass spiders.
Were they coming out of massive asses?
Yeah,
It's like
big
Nicki Minaj
ass.
of them.
I like
spiders.
big
Kim
butts, but
Karda-
they're full of spies. You other brothers can't deny. Yeah.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian spider. Now there's. But yeah, big ass spiders, and it made me think about what giant creatures, or like they do all the like ghost shark and all the weird ones. I think we've talked about before, but big ass spiders, just giant spiders taking over the city.
Giant
So what
beast?
giant beast would you most not want to take over? Other spiders has been done and covered.
Daddy
so,
Longlegs.
oh,
They're all strangly and
They are.
dangly and clumsy, and can you imagine
They'd
that
just be
flapping, knocking buildings over,
Yeah.
trying to escape through a massive plain glass, and it's stupid. It doesn't know it can't get.
and it'd be like that scene in Battlefield Earth when it did get through. It just kept crashing through glass
Yeah, exactly.
in the city, crashing.
I can't abide Daddy Longlegs. I'm like, I almost have a very almost Buddhist like position on insects. I hate anyone who kills them unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I think you should just get rid of them. They don't know they're trespassing.
No.
They're just trying to live. Get rid of them. Even though I can't stand to be in the room with them, I need to get rid of them. Don't kill them. But Daddy Longlegs, I see them and I just go, I know I should continue my philosophy that life is sacred. And it's harmless and it's not doing anything, but I think, fucking die! Get the Hoover out.
Poor things only live for a day,
I
mayflies.
fucking hate Daddy Longlegs more than most things.
Their 24-hour life cut short by Scott with a Hoover.
I don't. It's my last resort. It's my like crossing the streams.
That's it. just know.
Move. I'll try and catch them. But I hate them.
I think
Woodlice.
one of the most disgusting creatures is a slug. I'd hate to see a giant slug, and I'm talking about the size of a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just goes through it. But I actually think one of the biggest knobheads of the animal kingdom is seagulls. Can
Okay.
you imagine giant seagulls?
Oh, God.
They're so like obnoxious and pig-headed and annoying. And they don't stop. If they want that chip from your chip plate, they'll take it. They will do anything. They're not like pigeons who kind of, oh no, you don't. Oh
Yeah.
no, back over here. Like kind of, oh, it's nothing now. It's not going to be. And they kind of twaddle around you, being annoying. Seagulls, it's like, right, mate, you didn't eat that chip.
Yeah.
You're going to eat that. Can you imagine a big one of them trying to eat you? They won't give up.
No,
They will not give up.
That'd be terrible. And it'd be like the birds, but 1,000,000 times worse. 'Cause they'd be huge.
That would be the tagline.
Oh God! Like the birds, but worse because they don't give up and they need to be a bit more catchy.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think you've nailed this sort of snappy.
No, that'd be terrifying. Woodlice would be pretty freaky with all their little legs and their
Oh.
big armoured shell and then rolling up in a ball.
But I imagine, like, woodlice would be like...
They'd want to hide under something.
Yeah, I imagine they'd be like in Dances with Wolves or the buffaloes running across, just loads of them. And I don't see them harming you
yeah.
as much.
A honey badger.
Oh.
Scraping your house, trying to get in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big-
a camel spider.
Oh.
Oh, those things are
Definitely the
horrid.
insects. If the insects ever take over, that's
Yeah.
gonna
It's
be-
because they're so alien and creepy looking, especially up close. They're all the best ones, but I like thinking of actual animals because people don't go to the animals. They do
No,
the
it's
bugs,
all
so-
well,
bugs.
we all theory and everything. We're all laughing and having a joke here about it, but we do know that the squids are coming.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
are down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are giant squids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then there are things bigger than giant squids.
Yeah,
That's not even
yeah.
a joke. There are
They found some-
gargantuan squids.
Yeah.
And I've seen Squidly
They are.
Diddly, where he learns to walk on land, and it's only a matter of
Honest-
time. Isn't it?
The only human characteristics of a bloody squid are like eyes, but even they're not structured like eyes. There's nothing. They are aliens dropped into the sea, and now they're breeding down there, making an army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we doing? We're sitting around debating
Yeah. When they're
cows
gonna
and
happen.
elmos, like small
When
stuff.
it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Meanwhile,
Honestly, people.
Dark
meanwhile
Lord
the squids,
Cthulhu.
the squid squad, the squid squad in the sea.
We need to start the squid squad to alert people of the problems
Yeah.
that we're going to be
Squid
facing.
squad. I'm imagining like this Charlie's Angels like opening of me, you, and Andrew. But all the weapons we've picked are really ineffective underwater. Like, you get a flamethrower. I've got this really impractical axe.
So, you've got your homework to do, listeners.
Yeah.
You've got four questions here. Roles in cinema which are so well performed you don't think they could ever be topped. A Twinkie movie that we can't think up. We need a Twinkie movie that isn't Die Hard, Ghostbusters, Deer Hunter or Zombieland. Movie versus, or game versus, the ultimate versus. What two properties or characters would you like to see take each other on? And finally, what giant creature would be the most horrific to destroy the human race?
Well, mix the questions up. For fascinating results.
Let us know. And that was a very odd open forum.
So, it's been a while, but we are joined by Mark Roberts for Comic Conference. He's at The Sword is Drawn on Twitter. And he's here to talk comic news and all the things from the comic universe that we've not touched on. There's some massive Marvel news happened, and I believe you're here to fill us in.
Yeah, I think that the last time I was on with you guys, I was talking about my incredibly ridiculous stack of comics that I hadn't read for the past kind of 6 months or more. And so just at the time that I started sitting down to try and catch up with a few things, about 2 days later, we kind of had the bombshell drop that Marvel put out a news release saying that the Marvel Universe as we know it was ending this summer.
Right, okay.
At that moment in time, I thought, was it really worth bothering continuing to read this pile of comics? But I will, obviously. I paid for them.
Yeah.
But yes, the big news is this big kind of summer event this year. They're naming it provisionally, Secret Wars, which was also the name of two big comics events from the 1980s,
right,
with the other tag of Battle World. Basically, what is occurring is if it's not just the end of the Marvel Universe as we know it, it's the end of the Marvel Multiverse as we know it. So if you can imagine all of the alternate universes that you've seen that appeared in stories, right going up to entire things like the Ultimate Universe, the comics imprint they do at the moment,
right,
all of these universes are going to come crashing together into one. And as Secret Wars begins, there will be no Marvel Multiverse. There will be one Earth, one universe, and all of these different properties from so many other different corners and so many other different stories are all going to crash together into one to become something new.
Right.
Yeah. So if we're thinking on the lines of what DC did a few years ago, we always said, no, Marvel will never hit the reset button. This is kind of what this could be turning into. The Marvel equivalent of a New 52. What we're going to get afterwards is being referred to as All New Marvel. Not many details about what that will be, but it certainly seems to be the big kind of reset button thing happening. Yeah.
Right. So in terms of comic, that's enormous in terms of everything. So they're going to bring together all the stories and tie them up, or are they going to start afresh? Or
that's the question. Let's start off with how we kind of got here.
Okay.
This has been seeded for a little while. If you can think back a couple of years now to when they first began doing Marvel Now, the new big kind of initiative, starting with number ones and so on. Jonathan Hickman, the guy who had previously been writing Fantastic Four, also did a lot of good indie work, Pax Romana and the Nightly News over at Image. He started writing both of the main Avengers titles. And in those, he started seeding a few story threads which have they got partly touched on when we had the big Infinity crossover a little while ago. It started off with the Avengers book. If you can remember back to the 1980s.
Just about.
Yeah, just about. There was a line of comics that Marvel started off, an entire new separate universe of books when Jim Shooter was in charge, called the Marvel New Universe, in inverted commas, in which a whole kind of different band of characters, different people got empowered by kind of cosmic level power sources and so on. Got activated, given powers, guys like Nightmask and Starbrand. And this was a totally different set of comics that were actually pretty popular for a couple of years. But in that Avengers comic, we basically had Hickman saying, well, this was supposed to have happened in the Marvel Universe too.
Right.
These characters that were supposed to happen, this is part of he introduced this kind of series of cosmic builders who go from planet to planet, reshaping things and changing them. And he said that basically this universe was supposed to have a Starbrand, was supposed to have a Night Mask. All of these guys should have happened, but for some reason the universe itself was broken, and it wasn't happening. They're going into minute detail as to showing us all these kind of schematics for things that had gone wrong and how they hadn't happened. And these builders came along and they activated one guy to become Starbrand, and this guy on a university campus killed every single person on the campus as he was activated to gain this power source. It was all a lot messed up. So yes, we were told that something was not right. Over in New Avengers, we had the Illuminati, who have been kind of Marvel's cadre of, yes, they're heroes. Yes, they're the most intelligent men in Marvel. You have Reed Richards, you have Tony Stark, Iron Man, you have the Black Panther as well. And the Submariner, Namor, also. Mm. Yeah, Brain is kicking the gear, I promise. All these guys were getting together to discuss a problem that was starting to occur, and that was other universes seemed to be sliding into place, trying to inhabit the same amount and area of space as our own.
Right.
Therefore, one universe had to either be destroyed, or the two would be destroyed.
Okay.
So they was finding different ways to kind of justify, which is largely why Captain America kept out of this, justify the possibility of killing off another universe so that yours could survive. And this has been going on for the last 2 years in one form or another over in that title. The Illuminati have brought in all sorts of other people. They've brought in Captain Britain as a kind of expert on the multiverse. They brought in Amadeus Cho, the child prodigy guy. And yeah, they've been trying to sort this out for a while. Meanwhile, we also had Age of Ultron, which happened as the big kind of event in the meanwhile.
Yeah.
Which we had Wolverine and the Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, coming back in time, constantly trying to change these timelines whereby Ultron was always taking over and enslaving the entire world. And what we generally seem to learn over time is that as a result of time travel, in particular, in the Marvel Universe,
right,
as a result of guys like Cable or Rachel Summers having come back for extended stays in the past, or Reed Richards' father turning up from a different time zone, staying in the present, and all those the original 4 X-Men being brought back for all new X-Men, and then finding out they couldn't send them back to the original time because something else was broken.
Right. So
that's the reason it is broken. The entire of the multiverse is falling apart, and when we reach Secret Wars in the start of the summer, we're going to have this point where all of these universes come in and collide at the same time. If you were to hop over to Marvel.com at the moment, they currently have an interactive map, because I love these things.
Yeah.
Interactive for what they are tentatively calling Battle World. And to look across the map, the entire of the Earth has basically been reshaped into 2 land masses. Greenland with a small kind of tag of another country on it. All of the rest of the world appears to be one large land mass kind of peeling around, but separated off by some unexplained wall down at the south.
Right.
Yeah. And each territory is being slowly, over the course of the month, so they're revealing what they're named and what it's actually related to. So far, for example, the first wave of ones that we found, they gave us Future Imperfect Hulk, which was the Maestro version of the Hulk from, I think it was the 1990s. There was another area dedicated to the Age of Apocalypse from the X-Men storylines in the 1990s. We had a territory listed for the Armor Wars period of Iron Man, where all the supervillains gained control of his tech and started using it against him. We have Iron Man's Kunlun, the little dimension, well, kind of separate dimension area there. Higher Avalon, the place where all the universes previously met, was Avalon, which was kind of overseen by Captain Britain. That seems to have been given a square at all. So all these things are being kind of joined together in what certainly appears to be a little bit like a best of Marvel to a certain degree.
Right.
So you've got the Days of Future Past in there, and you've got Marvel 2099 from the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
All of these things are being drawn together. So they all exist and have their own little kind of territory and country, and presumably all of these characters that we've seen in the past and their setup are all existing at the same time. God knows how that is going to work, but that seems to be the plan.
Blimey. So do you think this will sort of spill out into the film, into the cinematic universe, or is this kind of a strictly comics thing?
Because I think as somebody who obviously kind of follows continuity an awful lot and has done, that's my kind of shtick. It's kind of natural to worry about these things a little bit, that in some way this is going to put a big reset button, and characters and histories and so on that you followed for years are just going to be left by the wayside, never referred to again, because they don't the new status quo. But I think if they do this right, and they do this cleverly, they at Marvel have themselves have said they don't feel the universe as it is broken, and from a creative standpoint, but they want to do something different with it. Having the option of this kind of reset button, if you want, after whatever happens this summer, would give you the possibility of aligning things a little bit more with the cinematic universe in some fashions. I think that would in some ways be sensible, because then you've got anybody who's coming in from outside who's only seen the movies and might want to pick up a comic book. They can pick it up and go, well, hold on a second. No, Nick Fury is a black guy and not some guy who's about 80 with a cigar.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you, yeah.
The two have to kind of fit a little bit neater together. As to what will occur in the immediate next while, we have been told that some books are getting cancelled. Some books are being launched again for the course of this event. It's also not entirely clear as to which books will survive and which won't. I mean, in recent times, we have had books like as the Spider-Verse event that they were doing over in the Spider-Man books. There's a new Gwen Stacy has Spider-Man book from another universe.
Right.
Spider-Gwen. It is literally called Spider-Gwen.
Wow.
And in that universe, it was Gwen Stacy who was bitten by the spider as opposed to Peter Parker, because she was closer to it at the time.
Okay.
So she's been given her own book to launch off with. I think it would be unlikely that something like the new Miss Marvel series, which has gained a lot of kind of critical acclaim, I think that would be unlikely to be cancelled. They've also announced a new Howard the Duck series.
Right. They planted the seed.
Exactly. If all of these things have been announced for this time, the likelihood of those coming to a close is slightly more slim. However, the Avengers titles are being cancelled.
Right. As we know it, they are being.
Last week, they've unveiled a new book in part to replace them, which is being written by, and I'm just going to double-check the writings here, it's the fantasy author G. Willow Wilson and Marguerite K. Bennett. It's an entirely female Avengers team called A-Force.
Right, okay.
Yeah. All they've given us in forms of any information for the course of Secret Wars is a cover with art by Jim Chang, showing Dazzler, She-Hulk, Medusa, Captain Universe, Jean Grey. There's just a plethora of female characters there. Now, as to whether that's a team or whether it's just a token shot there, I don't know.
Right.
They haven't given us anything more than this is a book that is going to happen press release. So we'll have to wait and see. I think one thing that we can say is it's fairly likely that when we get to the other side of this, there won't be any more of the Ultimate Comics line.
Right.
I would be very, very surprised if Miles Morales, the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man, doesn't find his way into whatever comes afterwards, because that's been a very successful property, even when the rest of the Ultimate titles have started to wane a little bit. I would quite easily see him being taken over into that universe. As to whether you'll still call him Spider-Man, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I think that would be an example of something that would survive. But also, they've been saying, this is the opportunity. If there are characters who we've killed off over the years in the past that we might want to bring back, this would be the time to do it. And that was something they actually mentioned in the big kind of press thing they did the other week. Gwen Stacy being given it as an example there.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that if there are characters out there that have been gone for a while, if there's a story reason to bring them back, this is the way to do it.
Cool. So in terms of characters then, I mean, are there any that you, A, would like to perhaps see less of, or B, would like to bring back or see more of, maybe, that haven't been sort of touched on?
I don't know. We've been without Wolverine for only a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And some people might say that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They have teased that one of the territories that they're going to use in this event here is the Old Man Logan storyline, which Mark Miller, the Kick-Ass writer, did a few years ago, which was kind of Logan as he was if he was in a kind of post-apocalyptic America, left by the wayside, all but retired, but having to come back into things. I think there's a character who was far more interesting when we didn't know much about his backstory than he was without it. If there was any way you could reset that'd be great, because I loved following Wolverine as a character in the 80s and 90s, but I kind of got sick of him over time. Yeah. Other examples, for a much more obscure example, would be from the Captain Britain books. a couple of years back, they killed off Jamie Braddock, the older brother of Brian Braddock, who is Captain Britain.
Right.
And so he's been gone from the Marvel Comics universe. But over in the Ultimate Comics universe, Brian Braddock, as Captain Britain, ceased to be. He ended up in basically a medical coma. And his older brother Jamie then became Captain Britain. So there's one Jamie alive in that universe, and there's one Brian alive in the other one. Can we bring the two together?
Oh, okay.
Let's do back again. Because we haven't seen that in comics in a very, very long time. The version of Jamie Braddock that we saw in the X-Men books a few years ago has always been this kind of utterly crazy, completely and totally unhinged individual. And there are reasons as to why his mind faltered. But as a character, perhaps not as interesting as he could be as just the flamboyant, rising up to the occasion kind of guy. And if we could have both of those in the same place at the same time, possibly get a British body version of Psylocke back, that'd be nice. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. As I say, this is entirely a set of perfect opportunities for these kind of things to be done. It's entirely up to whatever writer would like to pitch an idea to Marvel right now. To be honest, if you are a writer right now who is in that kind of position to pitch to Marvel, there's no harm in giving it a go, because this is the freest reign you're probably going to get in a few years.
Definitely. That sounds brilliant. I mean, how did the DC universe, I mean, that seems to have gone incredibly well for DC.
To a degree, it has. I mean, there have been points where, and I suppose this is something that Marvel ought to really learn from as well. There have been times where quite radical resets on histories of characters happen, but not everybody seemed to get the same memo. So you ended up with little contradictions happening here or there, or things didn't quite marry up. As long as you've got somebody who's taking responsibility for keeping things in order across everybody, so everybody knows what character histories now count and don't and so on, it's fine. But I think there is a certain kind of frame of thought that it'd be nice to have kind of a new starting point, a new jumping on point that is just less complicated from every point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
To let new readers come in and go for it. Because ultimately, I mean, the kind of average buying range for comics these days is getting older and older, and it would be nice to kind of trade in on the success of movies further down the line to actually build a new readership. Because once that's gone, I don't really see it coming back.
Yeah. True. Well, thank you very much. So is there anything, you mentioned last time we spoke, and just now, that you do have a giant pile of comics that you haven't read.
Yeah. Anything at the moment. Like I say, I need to get into the pile and start on it. I have, for example, I still have the Hit Girl series from a couple of years ago. I have in a hardcover there that has been sitting there unread for this while. I need to catch up on the most recent trades for things like Saga, the Brian K. Vaughan series.
Yes.
And Revival as well, at Image Comics. I got the first trade of that. I really, really enjoyed it, but then didn't get on to continuing with it. Just haven't found the time. So, yes, my next while really is just a case of sitting down whenever I've got a spare moment and catching up.
Fair enough. I think Sweet Feathery Jesus as well, the podcast, they were recommending Saga as well, so it seems quite a popular...
It has been over the last few years. It's been one of those that's managed to maintain a really quite high standard having the free reign of being at Image Comics is great because you get to tell. I mean, it is effectively it's a big kind of space opera story, but with a very kind of personal touch to it, and that's why I think so many people have kind of latched onto it. It's been really well delivered, and so far, because we've managed to keep the same writer and artist for this kind of longest stint, there's a real feel to it that it hasn't changed anyway, hasn't dropped in quality. And that's very rare these days. Yeah.
And I think it shows, I know it might sound like a weird comment, but sort of sign of our times. When you go in and you see something in HMV and it says new, you kind of, it's like it's integrated its way into popular culture, if you like, because you normally have to go down to Forbidden Planet or other sort of comic retailers, but you walk in and it's there with here's the graphic novels of the movies you're watching, and Saga. So it's definitely one that's been propelled into the limelight.
Yeah,
for all the right reasons, by the sounds of it.
Definitely so.
That's cool. Is there anyone you'd like us to follow, shout out, or just mention?
Shout out. I will say something I was doing earlier on. I don't know. I was looking at Twitter a few days back. The Waterstones Twitter account. Sadly, this has been taken down now, so you have to kind of scout around for it. They put up the 3-page outline that George R.R. Martin put together to the publisher for when he was originally pitching the Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones series, as it were.
Right.
It's a very different 3-page outlay. as a pitch for 3 books, and we know that's not really what it became of.
No.
It's a bit. This is where it kind of gets a bit dangerous, because some people are reading that at kind of book pace, and some people are only watching the television series. So, advise caution searching for it. But certainly, winteriscoming.net has it on there.
Right.
If you go and have a look at their site, winteriscoming.net was the one that I managed to find the easiest link to, and yeah, they have a scan of all 3 pages. It does differ a little bit from what we've actually seen in the books as they've turned out. Certain characters get slightly different emphasis, others aren't mentioned at all.
Oh, okay.
But it's very interesting to see something that's kind of come this far along as it has done now, to kind of go back and look at, well, this is what the original pitch was.
Nice.
So yes, if you can find those, it is on that site there. Yeah, it has been taken down from Waterstone's site. I don't know whether that was a legal thread or something. I would have doubted it, because it is on other parts of the internet. You probably find it somewhere on Tumblr as well, but that's where I managed to find it.
Cool.
Go and have a look.
If in doubt, head to Reddit. Someone will have it.
Exactly. Enjoy.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mark. It's been a pleasure, as always. Where can listeners find out more about you and follow
More
you?
about me?
And
Well, yeah, sure.
in the non-creepy way.
You can follow me at Twitter at The Sword Is Drawn. Mm-hmm. You can also find me at It Came From Darkmoor. That's ITCAMEFROMDARKMOOR.blogspot.co.uk. We're back up and running and blogging again.
Wonderful. Thank you kindly, and we'll speak to you again next month, all being well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you kindly.
Speak to you soon.
They need to be reminded of the order of things.
Clash of the Titans.
Contenders ready.
Turn them on each other.
Player 1 versus Player 2. Fight.
That sound you hear, that clash of water on the rocks. The Kraken has awoken. It's time for Clash of the Titans. What is Clash of the Titans, Steve? In our respect, not the film.
Puts
It's a Greek
away.
myth.
Guess what? So, a long time ago. Clash of the Titans is where we take 2 similarly things, people. You've asked the wrong person.
Articulate person.
This is where we take 2 iconic things, very similar. We've had Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray clashed against each other with all the films that they've been in.
Great controversy.
Yes,
splashing away.
We've done Danny Elfman and John Williams. It was the first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we clash things together, like Michael Bay clashes 2 toasters together, making Transformers, and we hash out the awesome things that they've done and discuss who's the best one.
So
Andrew, that was great.
What's Clash of the
Take 2 big properties and pitch them against each other to try to decide who is the best, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
In just a few less
in a
words than
nutshell.
Steve. In
a nutshell. It's pretty much what I wanted to say.
2 similar beans and toasters flying, the egg and the fly, and all the eggs and the
And we put them in a box and shake them up.
Shake them and wow, it's Bill Murray.
But basically, to compare 2 people, we do it penalty shootout style.
Yeah.
And Scott doesn't rig them.
I do
Contrary to popular belief.
I do not rig them. How could I have known they've not seen Space Jam? Like, who would predict that? No.
Anyway, is this today's duo that are smashing heads? Are they suggested by a listener?
We got some great suggestions. I was really close to doing Chris Evans versus Chris Pratt, as suggested by Arbitrary Genius, based on the Super Bowl. But I felt like that might be a better one a year or so down the line. Do you know what I mean?
Pratt's got a bit more behind it.
I didn't want to blow that load that early. So I asked a good friend, Hippocrates Gaming, if he came up one, because I really wanted a female one. So I kind of prodded and I went, can you give me a female one? So now we've got Emma Stone versus Ellen Page.
Ooh!
What a interesting reaction that was.
It's exciting because I know both of these actresses. I respect and love them both. I think they're brilliant actresses, and I know they've got some absolutely fantastic films behind
Yeah.
them. So I am very excited by this, genuinely. I'm looking forward to this. I think this is the best one for a while.
Yeah.
So, to kick it off, I thought the kind of the films that introduced them both to the mainstream audiences. Emma Stone in Superbad in 2007, where she played Jules.
You're like the coolest person that's ever talked to me. I thought we'd both be drunk.
What does me being drunk have anything to do with it?
Ever get with me if you were sober? Look at you. Look at me.
Seth, come on, you didn't blow it. I think maybe... What the fuck?!
Against Juno, where she played the titular character of Juno
If I was
in
a
2007 as well.
Oh, wow, that works nicely.
You're pregnant?
I'm sorry. And if it is any consolation, I have heartburn that is radiating in my kneecaps, and I haven't taken a dump since Wednesday morning.
Steve, would you like to take the torch and start speaking on this one?
Could you pretend you were eating the torch?
It's not a wise
I
idea.
was singing into it.
Okay.
Oh, right. Do you know what a torch is?
No, what did you do? What? Superbad is a film that I've grown to love the more I've watched it. If that makes... Yeah. So, I wasn't blown away by it the first time, but the more I've watched it, the more I've grown to sort of get it and notice more things about it. But Juno, I think it's got to be Ellen Page and Juno for me, purely for the reason that it's the story, her performance. It's one that's very close to me being adopted myself, and I don't know, the film resonated with me, and her performance has stuck with me, and that whole film has stuck with me. So I've just got to go with that one, basically, for that reason.
The thing linking these two is my old Michael Cera in the middle there, who I think is brilliant. I do like him a lot. But we're not talking about him. We're talking about Emma Stone. Let's start with her. Emma Stone in Superbad. I think Superbad's a fantastic film. I wasn't expecting much when I turned it on. I think you expect a certain thing from these teen movies, and actually it was a really funny and kind of a little bit moving and nice and a great resolution at the end. And I can watch that film over and over and over. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I'm not kidding. It's absolutely fantastic. Emma Stone. It's when I fell in love with Emma Stone. I had no idea she'd become what she has.
No.
She's the apple of Hollywood's eye now. She's in all the great BAFTA-y films now, the Oscar winners and things, and you didn't expect it at this point. She was just a really nice girl in this, the kind of girl you would fancy in high school, like Seth does in this. And I think she's a really great, funny character in this. But I'm going to solidify the first round for Ellen Page, because Juno not only has a great soundtrack and is a great drama, it's a great comedy as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things, and even though Juno's character is a bit annoying, I think that's part of her character. She grows up through this film. She is this kind of weird, outcasty kid, and she's kooky and things, and she manages to get herself in quite the predicament. She gets pregnant, and it's a really nice story, and it's about her finding her own integrity, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's finding herself and what she is, and this baby isn't hers, she is just a carriage for it, and it's kind of, that's what takes her through the years when she should be doing all the high school rubbish, when actually she's got this life decision, this burden, and she goes through it, and you go through it with her, and she's very on her own through this, and she's trying to find a soulmate and things in a way. She's looking everywhere in this difficult time. She finally finds it at the end. But it's a really nice, great film, and a great soundtrack. A lot of it by Kimya Dawson, who I think is a fantastic musician. But yeah, I think Ellen Page wins that round for me. Scott, where would you go in on?
I kind of agree completely with what you both said. I think Superbad's one of the best comedy films, easily, of the last 10 years, if not more. Because, a bit like Anchorman, I watched it and enjoyed it, and then didn't really think much of, in terms of its status. I just know I liked it, and then I've just weirdly returned over and over again. and it's still really funny, and it's still really strong, and it's just not diminished at all. I can't praise it enough, and I love Emma Stone in it. But Juno is an equally strong, and it was the sort of indie darling of that year. But it's really good subject matter, and she's the main thing of that film. She carries that film. And whereas Jules is more of the goal of one of the main guys, rather than the most fleshed out character in the world. So it's going to have to be Juno, if slightly reluctantly, because I love Superman. I think we all agree.
That was an incredibly strong round.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Let's have a good dystopian future then.
Okay.
That cleansed your palate after
that. Yeah, alright.
Emma Stone tried to survive a zombie apocalypse in Zombieland in 2009, where she played Wichita.
You know, between you, me, and what about Bob? You're actually kind of cute.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, you got the guts of a guppy, but I could hit that.
Whereas Ellen Page tried to survive sentient androids in X-Men Days of Future Past, where she was Kitty Pryde.
Time's up.
That's one.
Let's go.
Zombieland is another one of the, like Superbad, I didn't expect much from it. It sounded like a fun idea, and I actually watched it, and it was fantastic. Not a great deal to it, just a great comedy, you know. And I like to think sometimes that all these zombie apocalypse movies happen in the same universe. So as they're having fun doing this, Walking Dead's happening somewhere else, The Battery's happening somewhere else, you know. All this stuff's happening. I don't know why.
That's quite
I
cool,
like the idea of that.
I've never thought of that before.
Sometimes it doesn't work because zombies are different.
The rules,
yeah. But I go by the Walking Dead rules nowadays. It depends how decomposed they are, how fast they move.
It's as good an explanation I've ever heard, so I like that as well.
This starts off as kind of a zombie survival movie and becomes a story about friendship and things and stuff. And I think Emma Stone's great in this role again with little Anna Breslin, who is a lot bigger than she was in Little Miss Sunshine. Funny, people grow.
It's weird, isn't it?
Great performances as well. Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg. It's a great foursome that worked really well.
Oh, definitely.
Emma Stone is so charismatic, and that's why I love her so much. She's got a great personality, and that shines through over anything else. I think that's why she's done so well over the past few years. Is she's got a lot of charisma and likability in there as well. So it's definitely a very, very good film now. And Days of Future's Past. Now, I thought that the old school, the old group, were dealt a bit of a bum deal in Days of Future Past. They just seemed to be in a studio, for as far as I could see. That's what it felt like. They got one bit of an action sequence at the start, and then Kitty Pryde basically sits there with her hands on the side of Wolverine's head for the rest of the film.
With a power she shouldn't have, and no one ever explains.
No. So, to be honest, that's quite an easy win for Emma Stone, in my view.
I think I echo that, because, as you say, the X-Men... very kind of almost incidental, but Zombieland does end up being that story of friendship, and with only the four of them in it, she does have a strong role. She does ooze charisma. So I'm going to go with Emma Stone as well, because Zombieland as well is in my top 10. So again, it's an easy win for Emma Stone on that one.
Is Zombieland in your top 10?
I think, yeah.
I can't argue with either of you. Ellen Page is a fine Kitty Pryde, and she's fine in that film, but Emma Stone's got more going on in a better film, and it's a good comedy, horror, action, rom-com. I mean, rom-com. You never thought you'd see one again after Shaun of the Dead, but we did. One that even sort of homage Ghostbusters, and just ended up being a really cool, fun film. Easy win, no arguments. Okay then.
1-1.
Yes.
Let's go back to more low-key comedies then.
Okay.
We've got Emma Stone in teen teen film Easy A, which is a modern day retelling of The Scarlet Letter, where she plays Olive.
I got a pocket full of sunshine. I got a love and I know that it's all mine. Oh, whoa. Take me away, a secret place, a sweet escape, a brighter day. I got a
And she'll be against Drew Barrymore directed Whip It in 2009, where Ellen Page gets into roller derby, which you guys like roller derby, don't you? Don't let that affect you.
Looks like you've got some competition.
Yeah. Wake me when she learns how to throw a hit. Or take one.
Whip It is a really unexpectedly good film. When I heard that Drew Barrymore was directing a film about this woman's sport, about roller skating and things, I thought, oh God, it's not going to be very good. And actually, I watched it and I really like it. It's a really strong film. It certainly introduced me to roller derby. I'd heard of it before, but this was really my introduction to it. And it was when it inspired me a lot to look into it in Sheffield, and it inspired me a lot to actually take up the sport myself. And I've played roller derby, and it did a lot for me at that point in my life, and I love it for that. And Whip It has something to do with that, and I think a lot of people who got into roller derby do that. Ellen Page's performance in it, I think, again, she's a lovable character. She's a girl who just hasn't really found herself in the world. She's a bit of an outcast, lost, and she finds this sport and she falls in love with it. And then there's a lot of expectation from her family, wanting her to do this, that, and the other. And it's a very good film. Kristen Wiig plays a good role in there. Juliette Lewis is in there as well with a good role, and it's a really good. Even though the roller derby fans out there quarrel the rules, the depiction of the sport in it is not entirely correct. It's a great film. It's a great comedy. The only bit I don't like is the love story aspect. They could chuck that out the window for me. That was.
Yeah.
But and then we move to Easy A, which I don't quite know why I don't like it. I can't quite articulate why I don't like that film very much. I've watched it. First time I watched it, I think I gave it 2, and the second time I watched it, I gave it 4.
You did. So you going up. Yeah.
But I don't know.
To watch it a few more times.
It might be a 6. I get it. It's an homage to John Hughes films, and then it's the Scarlet Letter and whatever. But I don't know. It just didn't quite click with me. So it makes my decision quite easy in this one, because Whip It influenced me so much, and I think it's a good, fun film, which, again, I can watch again and again and again. I'm going to give Ellen Page a point here. So, Steve, where do you go?
I'm with you. The Ellen Page and Whip It. It was around that time we discovered roller derby, and this incredibly strong film about this female-led, quite violent, quite brutal sport, but it encouraged me to look into it more and carry on. And again, I did roller derby, and
could you say we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for Whip It?
This is true.
Oh, so don't vote it too harshly.
No, but this is it. Yeah, we wouldn't have met, and
we wouldn't be here right now.
Oh God, isn't that weird?
It is really
Weekly
weird.
Geek Speak would not exist in some weird
this form.
In this form, we'd be fine.
Probably be better.
That's only mostly true.
I'm chucking Whip It out the window. No, but Whip It, it's a great film with strong performances by everybody in it. Easy A, this is going to be a really tough one, because Easy A is just a great film. It is that tribute to John Hughes films, and John Hughes, I love the John Hughes films. I grew up in the 80s, and it was really obvious, the nods to it, and how Pocket Full of Sunshine always gets stuck in my head whenever I watch it. But and I think she's great in it. I think it's a really strong performance from Emma Stone. So it's a tough one, but I think you're right. It is. I think Ellen Page and Whip It being such a big influential part of life it's going to have to go to Ellen Page and whip it, because
Ellen Page has got another notch. Where would you lie in that one, Scott?
I mean, I knew this would be slightly a foregone conclusion because Whip It in an indirect way or directly maybe has influenced both your lives really positively. I like both films quite equally, actually. I think Whip It's really good. Thought it was really enjoyable when I saw it. It didn't inspire me to be active, but nothing could.
Not even the Flash could.
And I loved Easy A. I thought it was really cool from an adaptation standpoint, full of homages to other films I like, and I just thought it was a solid teen film. And I always liked her family and her dynamic with that, and she's a strong, funny female character leading a teen film, and I just really liked it.
No, definitely.
So it's a really tough one for me, just for the sake of balance and maybe edge towards Easy A. But that is as far as a difference I can muster between them, because we're talking marginal. So is Ellen Page taking a 3-1? Is she...
Very good.
2-1.
Yeah,
2-1 lead.
2-1.
I'm scared that Emma Stone might not win again, you know.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
We can't have it at a 2-3... sorry, a 3-2 every time.
No, you can't. Okay. Would you like to go big blockbuster or indie superhero influenced film?
Let's go blockbuster it.
Yeah.
Okay. Joke's on you, there's still a cape here. Emma Stone in Amazing Spider-Man in 2012 was Gwen Stacy, of course.
Man, you don't have me on your computer?
Yeah, I mean, like, I took a photo of the debate team, and you're in the debate team, so...
Right.
So, he must have seen... I was touching up stuff.
Touching up stuff?
Come on. I'm not gonna answer that.
Did you get expelled?
No, I didn't get expelled. I got community service.
And Ellen Page was in Inception, of course, in 2010.
We bring the subject into that dream, and they feel it with their subconscious.
How could I ever acquire enough detail to make them think that it's reality?
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange.
Ooh.
Originally, Spider-Man was going to pair with X-Men, but there was no real reason to pair Inception with Zombieland, was there?
No.
At all. Other than, these two films are good, love these.
Guess what?
Not the best idea for a round, is it?
No.
You think you can handle this one, Steve?
Yeah. No, go on after you.
Really?
I'm pondering.
Ponder with your mouth.
No. I can't.
Great listening. Okay.
I think... Go on. Yeah. Go on.
Okay.
He manages to somehow be the most awkward on both ends of the spectrum. Just when you were fine with going first, he was like, I'm going to interrupt. No, it's fine.
Right. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Inception's a good film. I don't love Inception, though, as much as many do. I think it's good. I think it's okay. And there's other Nolan films I like more. It's a very interesting idea. Ellen Page's role, I'll focus on that, I think, in the film, because that's what we're doing. She doesn't have a big part, does she?
No.
She just seems to be the voice of the audience going, please explain this to me.
Yeah, she's the vehicle for which we get a load of exposition. But you need that. It's quite a valuable part of the...
Yeah.
You need that, and that's good. Gwen Stacy was kind of an unsung... Everyone went Mary Jane, basically, before this. Gwen Stacy did appear in Spider-Man 3, Raimi's one.
Oh, God, yeah.
As an idiot. She was a very good character in that. But Gwen Stacy got her time in Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I don't love Amazing Spider-Man either. I think it's fine. Both of these films, I think... Well, as films, Inception's better. But we're not voting on the film, we're voting on the performance. So I am going to go with Amazing Spider-Man here and Emma Stone, because I liked Gwen Stacy in this film. I liked her a lot more than Mary Jane, who was awful in Raimi's ones. But as an actualisation of a character from the comic books, I really liked. I thought it was a really good version of Gwen Stacy, a really likeable love interest who was more than just a love interest. It was a great character, and she goes on to be one of the better parts, I think, in Spider-Man 2. So my vote goes to Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Just because I think as a character she brings a lot more to that role than, say, Ellen Page is.
Inception.
Hey everyone, I am the conduit for the audience.
See, I think I'd forgotten Ellen Page was in Inception. I haven't seen it for a while, so that obviously didn't stick with me. Whereas, like you say, Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man, it was another strong female-led role that was more than just the love interest shoehorned in for Spider-Man. Great character. So yeah, I'm going to go Emma Stone as well.
Interesting. It's very interesting. I didn't expect that. I think Inception's far and away the best film, and I think Ellen Page character is incredibly important in establishing a lot of the world and rules therein. But that's all she is. Whereas, again, I completely agree with Andrew. Emma Stone carved out a nice niche of being Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man, and she's the best thing in those two films, for me, her relationship with Peter Parker. And it's so worlds better from Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, and it's elevating an okay film to being kind of good and enjoyable, whereas Ellen Page is just playing a bit part in a great film. So I completely agree from a performance standpoint. Oh, it's 2-2. I did not expect that.
See?
Did not expect that. Okay, so this might be a decider then, folks. I just don't want to leave... It's one of them where sometimes I just don't want to leave a film out I like.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because you just want to talk about a film you like.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense if I pitch it as indie films that cover the topic of superheroes. That'll be the better one. So Emma Stone very recently did Birdman, where she played Sam.
So who are you?
Sam, my daughter.
Oh, your daughter. Wow, that's amazing. You don't look anything like each other. What do you do?
She's my assistant. Works for me.
And does she talk and speak?
She does. Yeah, she can even sit or stay or roll over if you have any treats.
Whereas Ellen Page did James Gunn's Super in 2010, where she played Libby/Balti.
That's what you get for fucking with the Crimson Bolt and Bolty, you stupid cocksucker! And now your legs are gone!
So I haven't seen Birdman, so unfortunately can't comment on that.
What's your comments on
Whereas
Super?
Super was a great film, a very, very dark take on the superhero genre. We'd had a lot of superhero films up and come in, lots of different sort of action-based things. We'd had Kick-Ass, that was a great adaptation, but also, whilst it was sort of real superheroes, to give it a grounding, this felt a lot more dark, and it's the tone that the second Kick-Ass film takes in the graphic novel that it sort of almost doesn't take in the film. And I do think Ellen Page is a great character in that. So I think Ellen Page it would be my vote. But I haven't seen Birdman, so that's
I understand.
Impartial on that one.
I have seen both, and I like Super a lot more than Birdman. As I say, last time we talked Birdman, I don't hate Birdman. It's a 6 out of 10. It lost me in the last third. Emma Stone's character, I think, plays a very good part as Michael Keaton's daughter. I think she plays a very important part in the characters that surround Michael Keaton. Aside from maybe Edward Norton, she's probably the most important in this kind of tapestry of...
That was the settee. We're on a leather settee. Sometime... You know what, we're all adults, so I should just leave it, but sometimes you have to be like, leather settees make you sound Trumpy. That's just what happens. Carry on.
So I think it's a good performance. She brought an interesting angle to it. She pushed the story on in areas with various different characters, and it was an interesting relationship between her and her father. Super's a very good film. I enjoy it. It is very dark. It's not what you expect, and a great performance from Rainn Wilson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Balti annoys me a bit. I find her a bit annoying. I think she's supposed to be a bit annoying, but she just annoys me. And I guess that's part of the character and things, but I think it's probably one of her weaker performances, and I don't know if that's down to the character she is or what, but I did find her a bit, she got a bit into the indie darling kind of role at that point, and I just felt this was one character too far, a bit boring, a bit samey, and lacked the charm. So on that note, even though I find Super the better film overall, judging on performance, I'm going to give it to Emma Stone. So actually the deciding vote goes to...
Why are you doing this to me?
Sir Scottimus.
I don't even know. I didn't think it'd get this far to even think about my vote. I love Super. Obviously around this time there was Kick-Ass, Defender, Super. It felt like a bit of like, oh god, everyone's come up with this. Everyone's pitching the what if superhero a real thing, which wasn't invented by Kick-Ass.
No.
But it's kind of, it just felt like they all came out at once.
Yeah.
But I thought Super was by far the most interesting of the three, and I always wanted to argue the best, but the thing that stops me saying that is the fact I've revisited Kick-Ass a couple of times, where Super, I've not quite done that yet, because I almost scared it's not as good as I remember, because I remember really, really liking it. But I remember thinking it was really dark and interesting. The only bit I didn't like of it was the Nathan Fillion sort of Jesus God scenes that were a bit weird, if you remember.
Yeah, they were odd. Yeah.
It seemed a bit unnecessary and sort of was a bridge too far. But the rest of the film I thought was so solid, and it was really good, and it really put James Gunn on the map for me in terms of caring who he was. But Birdman I really enjoyed, and obviously it's getting a lot of love at the minute. It's winning a lot of winning a lot of SAG awards and Production Guild awards, and nominated for Oscars and stuff. And she's a solid part of that, part of a good ensemble. It's a question: does she do more than Libby does?
Only you can decide. Ooh, it's a tough one.
Can I, in a desperate act of trying to sit out, can I suggest we have our first ever audience decides Clash of the Titans?
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes I do feel that they're a little crafted to make it interesting. You know, we like to take it all the way.
Craft this one.
This one has naturally gone here because Scott thought it had been won. It hasn't, and because it got right to the wire. Two absolutely fantastic actresses who are really shining through in the past 10 years. So yeah, we want your vote. Who is the Titan who should win? Ellen Page or Emma Stone? Tweet us.
And I mean, if you don't have an opinion on Birdman or Super, you could judge it maybe on what maybe you might have voted differently earlier. Maybe you just have a preference.
You write them down. Write down those rounds. You decide. You work it out and you tell us.
But we need to know who's won this clash, because I am chuffed if I know.
It might say we copped out of that one, but genuinely, that went to the wire. So much so the wire has not yet been.
And almost
crossed.
every round, like I'd change a couple on the fly. But that not in a cheaty way, just in a because I was trying to put square pegs in round holes. Like I tried to squeeze Hard Candy in because it's one of my favourite Ellen Page films.
Great film.
And then anyway,
and The Help could have been in there for a great one.
Exactly, I was trying to squeeze that in. And Crazy Stupid Love. I could have Gangster Squad. It's very average. But two great actresses, and you tell us who won.
Clash.
Well, we arrive.
We're here.
Big Marvel news.
Yeah.
A bit of Clashing of Titans to an unresolved conclusion. And it's the end of the show. It's just me and Steve to see you out. Well, let's talk about the BAFTAs very briefly. It's something that we don't really cover. I think we run through the Oscar noms and things, but the BAFTA is always a good gauge, always with a British slant, obviously.
Yeah,
but this year, I think the Theory of Everything seemed to have swept up. Probably rightly so. I can't really comment. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, the Imitation Game didn't seem to get as much love as people originally thought. But
no.
Maybe its wave broke a little too early on this. The Theory of Everything's in everyone's mind at the moment. And also, good to see that the Grand Budapest Hotel got a lot of the technical awards, cinematography and things.
Very
I think
happy
they
about
got costume design and all that kind of stuff. And I've seen that now, and actually,
Have you?
It's a Wes Anderson film that I like a lot more than his other ones, because it's got a bit of pace about it. It almost feels like Wes Anderson meets Baz Luhrmann in that sense. It kind of patters through at a bit more speed, whereas it's the whimsy, slow-paced ones that I get a bit tired with. Whereas this was really good, and I thought Ralph Fiennes...
I was going to say, do you feel that me putting him forward for the award was...
Yeah, I think he was strong. I think a lot of... There's a really good ensemble cast, though, and there's a lot of great performances in there, a lot of faces popping up and things. It's a good film. It's definitely worth seeing. Yeah. So, yeah, them's were the BAFTAs.
Them's were. They happened.
That's all I have to say about that.
It's time for... This week, the Geeks have spoken.
And before you start, I thought, because Scott obviously brings the sex appeal to the podcast.
Yeah.
You can't argue it.
No.
You miss him on these days. I bought some Love Hearts with me.
Oh.
We're going to take one pack each.
Okay.
We're going to open them to make a horrible noise.
Yep.
And what we're going to do, without reading them, is each person we mention,
right.
we get to read a Love Heart in our sexiest voice for them.
Oh gosh, who's going to start?
Well, I'll start so we can get the gauge. I think I know who I'm getting as well.
Yeah.
If the past 6 months have been anything to go by.
Thank you kindly for all your interactions, film reviews, comments, feedback and praise, etc. We love it. Thank you. You're very lovely people. Keep it up. We'll start, as always, with Pete Bushbauer, the king of 3-word reviews at Popular Outcasts, who is still on his quest to watch 365 films in a year. He's well on track already, so thanks, Pete.
And this Love Heart for you, just you.
Nice. So, Horns. Horny Harry Potter. 7 out of 10.
Well, everyone's horny after I said that.
I know. So 7, it's a good score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to see it.
I've seen it. Yes.
You agree?
I wasn't sure how I felt after watching it, so I wasn't sure whether it would be a recommend or recommend for the following week, but a couple of days later it stayed with me. So we'll see where it stands in the film rankings that I watched for next week. Kingsman. The Secret Service, possibly Vaughan's best, 9 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
It didn't appeal for me because I'm always put off by Jack the Lad Chavs walking around. But you know what? People always say Kiddlehood, this, that and the other. And this seems to be James Bond meets Kiddlehood meets, I don't know what. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems like a really... It's gone down well in everything I've read, really, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And lastly, he saw The Judge, Tony Stark. Attorney, 6 out of 10, and that was film number 49 this year.
Good. It's doing well.
It's doing incredibly well. Hollow Spy, at Hollow Spy, saw A Walk Among the Tombstones. Oh, and Hollow Spy, you get the...
Sexiest voice, Steve.
Too much.
Ooh.
That was a bit weird, I know.
Too much Hollow Spy.
Too much Hollow Spy. Rains a Lot. 6 out of 10.
What was the film again? Sorry.
A Walk Among the Tombstones.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter because you're just too much for
Yeah.
Hollow Spy.
Too much.
Scott's got his head in his hands right now.
Yeah. Cringing. Hi, Scott. Slightly Broken, The Man of Many Names, at Sparky Wright. Gone Girl, Bitch Be Crazy.
Sparky Wright gets one.
And you get...
Dream Girl.
Oh, okay.
What's worse is we're by firelight right now.
We are. It's kind
so
of
we're heated over a microphone, reading Love Hearts into a microphone with Sonny's.
Hollow Spy, Does he get another one? Or have we
Oh,
mentioned
why the hell not?
Yeah, go
Why
on,
the
Hollow
hell
Spy.
not?
You
Hollow
get one
Spy.
from Andrew this time.
Looking good.
So, Jupiter Ascending. Pretty confusing bollocks. 3 out of 10.
Now, Jupiter Ascending, when I saw the trailer, looked absolute dog shite. And I know I've been the one preaching, don't judge a book by its cover. First impressions were, it did look like dog shit. I'm sorry, Mila Kunis is a great comedy actress. But I can never see past Mila Kunis.
Okay.
You know? I
Yeah.
can never see past it. It's just Mila Kunis.
Yeah. I thought it looked okay. It's one of those, I'll see that when it comes on streaming services. But, I don't know. We shall see. Thank you for your 3-word reviews. If you have any, review the film that you've watched in 3 words and give it a score out of 10 and hashtag it 3-word reviews. And we shall read them out. Robbie Polanco superfan at Robbie_Polanco. Hope you guys found Scott and no other eggs are harmed from the other week when Scott had gone off, and saw the interview and said good, bad, ugly.
Okay, good 3-word review.
Yeah. And Robbie, you get...
Wait. Let me have a look. You got to say his name and then that.
Robbie, hug me.
Was that sexy or creepy?
That was creepy.
I don't think any of them have been sexy, to be honest.
Danny Mac at DannyMac25 tweeted a picture and said, first look at Brandon Routh's Atom costume from Arrow.
It looks very cool. It does look very cool. But don't worry, Danny, you're not going to miss out on this. My hero. Which actually really works.
Yeah.
Because Atom is a hero. As are you, Danny Mac. Yeah, it looked cool, though. I thought that looked really good. It looked like it slotted right in there. It looked very cool.
At Artie Fufkin, James Wormsley sent us the Poltergeist remake trailer. And Hilly at MFS Hill said, looks great, but the trailer's giving too much away. Solid cast. So
Sam Rockwell's in there, so you can't go wrong.
I love Sam Rockwell. He can do no wrong.
And I think it does show a lot, but Poltergeist is one of those horror movies which pretty much everybody knows. It's like the Evil Dead trailer. We wanted to see those bits, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted to know what direction it was taking.
Yeah.
I see this more of like an update of Poltergeist than anything else, and I thought it looked pretty okay, you know.
Yeah.
And you know what? After Insidious came out, it was inevitable that this was going to be a raid, because I think Insidious goes hand in hand with Poltergeist. It's like the other side of the wardrobe, so to speak.
Yeah.
It kept pretty close to the original stuff as well. It did just feel like an update, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will never touch the classic. The girlie, I've forgotten her name, but the girl in the original, she's so iconic. We use that word a lot, but she does look really, and she's so kind of eerie herself, you know.
Yeah.
They've replaced the woman with a squeaky voice with an Irish man. It
seems, but, which is
but you can't have everything. And you know what? It might be far. It might be rubbish, but it might be great. And you know what's watching that? It looked pretty good.
Poltergeist is a trilogy that I enjoy. I've got all. I don't own many DVDs, but it's a trilogy I own, and I enjoy all of them. So I was a bit but it did look good. It looked like it took the sort of Spielbergian, almost family-esque edge that he gives to things, and it made it look a little bit darker and quite creepy. Which, like modern day, definitely.
Okay, do you want to do James?
Wow. All mine.
In your dreams, Steve.
And at MFS Hill, you get
Love Bug, which just sounds weird. Love Bug.
Love Bug. Oh, I've got love bugs.
I've got love bug. Oh.
Anyway. Attaboy Clarence at Attaboy C.
We're coming up against the sexiest voice.
I know.
Now. This has backfired.
Damn it.
Go on.
Said that thanks for the vote. If I get the part of Green Lantern, I'll wear your logo. If you heard the podcast last week, he's recorded the Green Lantern oath for Scott. Oh, is it my turn? Oh. I can't even do it. First love.
Oh. Say Canterbury to him in a sexy voice.
Canterbury. Now I've got to read this. Bex at Arbitrary Genius said she's watching Fortitude and it's promising on the UK TV side. So, Bex, you get...
Wicked.
All right. That wasn't sexy.
Depends where you come from.
I suppose. Each to their own.
Is that it?
That's it, I'm afraid. I was just staring at the...
How many have you got left?
Last of Love Hearts. I've got 2. How many have you got?
None.
I've got 2 and I've 1 each.
Thank you for listening.
Yes,
Please
thank
do
you kindly for listening.
follow us at Weekly Geek Speak and answer our questions, interact through your 3-word reviews. Tell us who you think should win our Clash of the Titans, which we failed upon deciding on because it was so close. One of the best yet. Thank you, Scott, for that. Please do subscribe on iTunes. We're on Spreaker, Stitcher and Podcastland. We're also on YouTube. Keep your eyes open because Scott and Dan at Hippo Crisis Gaming will be teaming up on our Weekly Geek Speak channel on some cool gaming videos for you to watch. Thank you to Lucy as well for keeping the blogs ticking over on the website. Thank you to James Artie Fufkin for the art. And thank you to at HOM Podcast for the Clash of the Titans sound.
Yeah.
I think I've covered everyone there, haven't I? Oh, and thank you, Mark. At The Sword Is Drawn for another brilliant comic conference. So we're going to sign off now with some sexy sex offs. Let's have some sex offs.
Alright, let's have a sex off. Go on, who's going to start?
In love.
Oh, good pals.
Good pal. Oh, that was like, I'm in love and we're just good pals. That was like a proper like friend zone moment.
Awkward.
Ooh. On that moment,
work out our differences.
We'll munch down on our love hearts and bid you adieu.
Adieu.